And we're back. Hey, everybody. It's your host, Darren Carter, the party starter, the Pocket Party Podcast. Former NYPD police officer. Here he is, John DiResta.
What's up, Flucker?
What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? You in Joe Biden's basement? Where are you?
There you go. He's a hologram.
Yeah. I like your lighting, man. That's good. This is it. This is our future. It's comedy on computers and interviews. I saw online today that this New York comedian was, I guess they paid, this comedians pulled their money together and did comedy in a backyard. And then the lady that they paid, she was just drunk and heckling them the whole time. And at one point she grabs the mic and kind of chews them out for being politically incorrect. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's rough. This is the way child molesters used to communicate.
Yeah, right? On these boards like this, like these underground
chat rooms.
Dark word. That's the word I'm looking for. Dark room. Did you ever, when you were a police officer, did you mainly just work subway systems, or what did you do? Anything else?
I would say the last 5 or 7 years was the homeless outreach unit. But if you're asking about computers, they were way behind, way behind.
Oh yeah. Have you ever taken the subway here in Los Angeles?
Just once or twice. I didn't like it.
Did it remind you of New York, or totally different?
I don't like the New York subway either, but in California, you're more susceptible to an earthquake.
Yeah. Is it cleaner?
You know, it's the same in New York. Like, you know, if you're riding in a car going over the hill, you're air conditioning, listening to heavy metal or Howard Stern. When you're in the subway, something's gone wrong in your life.
Yeah. That's funny, man.
So you're not that happy to be there. And there's still the vermin. You know what I mean? There's vermin.
The only time I took a subway is a buddy of mine gave me and a friend. He goes, "Hey, I got these 2 extra tickets to see Garth Brooks. It's going to be at the Staples Center." So I caught the subway at Universal City at that stop right there. But I was on there with a bunch of people excited to go see a Garth Brooks concert. Like, I felt like there was this common, like, yeah, we're gonna go see Garth Brooks on a Saturday afternoon. Like, it didn't seem like, you know, like.
Well, see, here's what you probably maybe never experienced. If you lived on Long Island, you know, whole groups of people went to go see Van Halen. Whole groups of people had a common goal to smoke pot and drink beer and go see Black Sabbath at Madison Square Garden, or Metallica, or even a Ranger game. There was a carnival atmosphere, and the trains were nicer than, say, a subway in New York or a subway in California. These are like almost like, you know, you ever take the train to San Diego? It's like a little bit more of a high-class ride. Yeah. But back in the day, dude, every single car was filled with marijuana smoke, and there was a real festive. And on the way home was the same crazy, I'm all beat up, I had the greatest time of my life, I'm drunk, I'm high on the way back. Miss your stop. Now you're in Santa Mariches, 40 stops past where you live. And the trains are closed for the night.
Dang. And then there's no
Uber. How you doing, guy? Last stop, Lindenhurst. Get off. That happened to me. Bachelor party.
Dang. You probably had money for a cab,
guy?
Yeah.
You got to get up.
Is that what they did? They woke you up like that?
Oh, dude, my pants were ripped from front to back. From the front top elastic to the back elastic.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever, is that how you woke people up? Hey, guy. Time to wake up.
Yeah,
guy.
Well, watch this. When you're in the homeless outreach unit and you work a terminal, that means the train's going to pull in, stop, switch conductors, switch motormen, maintenance, 5, 7, 10, 15 minutes. Then it goes back the other way. You know, now it's on its new run. And anyone that doesn't wake up, that has no destination, you know that their next stop could be the shelter. So you not only do you work the end stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing, guy? You got to get up. You got somewhere to stay? And one night a guy said, "Yeah, I got a place to stay in the house that I own."
Oh, and shit.
He felt belittled.
Oh, yeah, you got a place to stay? Yeah. Yeah, in the home that I live in. I'm just a tired guy from working
that I paid for.
that I paid for.
He
Yeah,
owned it.
dude.
I
How would you
still
like?
don't own a house. That story was 30 years ago, and I still don't own a house, and he did.
How would you like to be in the subway now with like COVID-19? That'd be weird, right? Because they say it's better if you're outdoors. Like I wouldn't want to be in a subway in New
No,
York.
it's a disgusting rat hole. It's a disgusting. It's the large intestines of the New York City. It's like crawling through, and then when you get to the subway stop, elevated up,
Yeah.
and you get fresh air. It's like walking out its anus.
Okay,
And it's 120 degrees and stinks like hot human piss in the summer.
oh
And in the winter, you don't know this. Half the stations in the Bronx and the Queens and Brooklyn, half the stations are not only outdoors, they're 60 feet in the air off the Atlantic Ocean.
wow.
And it's 5 degrees out, and then the wind, and you're 60 degrees up standing on a platform. It's 0 degrees, and it's 4 a.m, and you're there alone with no partner, with a radio that might work if you're standing in the right spot.
You're not making me want to join. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
However, all my buddies got a nice pension, dude. They're living in Florida, smoking pot, riding jet skis, and driving Harleys.
Yeah.
And they got medical
Awesome.
benefits and dental. Yeah, it's a crazy, weird thing that was at my grasp,
Yeah.
and I let it go. I had 8
Yeah.
more years, and I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from this perspective. I mean, you know, come on, getting your own television show, getting in the movies. That was pretty cool.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
And 8 years is a long way to live as a New York City cop. That's a long way to go.
And as time goes by, you're probably like, that was guaranteed, you know, or something. I guess I would imagine compared to showbiz.
Well, there's a huge caveat is that I quit right before 9/11. So had I not been killed that day, you know, I could have cancer 7 different ways because of standing on the pile.
Yeah.
So as much as I missed the pension, you know, there's something else I might have missed out on. That would have been worth.
You're one of my popular guests on here, and anytime you're on, I always put the word out via social media. I always ask, hey, any questions for John DiResta? And sometimes
There we go. Lay it on me, bro. Ask John DiResta. What's up?
I got him from this could be anything from, you know, you've been on several television shows, you and your brother doing woodworking. I think you have a show now on Hulu called Hammered with John.
I have a
Jimmy
show
DiResta.
running on Hulu called Hammer with John and Jimmy DiResta. We did 26 episodes for HGTV a couple of years back, and now they're running them now. And I was at my daughter's house the other day for dinner, and we watched an episode of Hammered. So I watched my own show and what I looked like and what jokes I thought were good and how many chins I had and how unkempt my hair was. Where now, if you notice.
Oh, yeah, you're taking care of it.
You want to touch it?
Yeah, no, I'm good. But you want to look sharp for the Darren Carter Pocket Party podcast.
Listen, dude.
Hulu. Yeah.
This is the wave of the future. This is stand-up.
This is, you know what? I got on a side note, I got to tell you, you know what? If there's three things I would invest if I were you, just think about it down the road. A high quality webcam, just so you'll be super sharp, because this is the way it is, man. This is you know, this is the future. See, there's my webcam. So, and there's a backlog, so there might be a waiting period. It's like it's harder. It's easier to get a handgun now than it is a webcam. So,
wow.
no. Okay, there's 3 things. Okay, so that's 1. 2, I was gonna say a microphone, but I think you could even get like this little portable light. Like I saw one at Best Buy, like these little tiny portable lights. That way you're always well lit. You don't really need it, but it's something. That way, anytime you do these shows, bam, bam, you got your lights, you got your camera. And I'm gonna bust your balls a little bit. I want to thank you for inviting me and Rusty over to watch UFC. And you're like, you want to watch the UFC fight? And I'm like, yeah. You go, hey, I'll pay for it, no problem. We'll have food. It's my treat. Come on by. Dude, I was shocked at how small that TV was.
Yeah, it's funny how everybody complains about my TV. Now I'm never going to change it out of spite.
I felt like you're like, come on over, it's fight night, and then we're all gonna gather around your cell phone.
Yeah, see, I don't see that. See, I must be missing out on the big screen
You
TV.
guys want to watch the fight? It's like, no, here's your magnifying glass. I mean, dude, I actually got I had a little bit of eye strain because the image was a little bit small, and I'm like, wow, the guys on the screen, they're going home scot free. I'm the one with the headache from trying to watch them.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm kidding, man. But it was so funny to me that my buddy just bought two TVs. Like, how much were they? He got them at Costco, and he said one was a 50-inch and one was like a 42-inch. And he said one was like, I want to say $280. The other one was like $220. So, like the price has really come down. It's funny. I was on a walk the next day, and I called you and I took photos. I go, dude, there's a TV on the curb. Like somebody had like a big 30-something inch or 40-inch TV. They had taped the remote controls to the top of the TV, almost like, hey, somebody, please take this off my hands.
Right, the taped up, when they tape the remote to the TV, that makes it look like it works. But
Yeah.
I told you, as an experienced junk picker, the odds of it working was slim. The odds of it having actual cockroaches and or bed bugs is slim, but they're there.
Right.
The odds of bringing it in, moving shit, and plugging it in, and it not working at all, and then everyone banging it and doing the wire. I just don't need the hassle. The odds of it being, fully working and clean are slim, but it could have been. But I don't mind my small TV. I'm going to keep my small TV forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you to the UFC free.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks from now for the biggest fight ever in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Khabib Nurmagomedov versus
it's in 2 weeks? Nice.
Whenever it is, I'm going to invite you, and I'm not getting a new TV.
Yeah, I know.
So you could come here and shovel down chili like you're going into hibernation.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
You left that was part of the story out.
Oh, yeah, that was great chili, by the way. Shout out to Mrs. DiResta. It was so good, man. You're right. It was good. At first, I was like, well, I'll try it. And it was so good. I finished it,
Dude, you inhaled it.
Inhaled it. I think you said I ate it like I had two assholes or something like that.
You were eating like you had two assholes, like you were going into hibernation.
Yeah.
And it also looked like you were working the math to beat the check at a late night diner in 1985.
I know. And then I was just like, I was on a roll. I was on a tear. You go, you want some ice cream? And I don't know what I said, but I know I ended up trying every flavor that you offered.
Dude, you mixed like 6 different flavors.
I know. You're like,
it was like Happy Days.
I turned your home into Arnold's malt shop.
It was like Joni loves Chachi.
Yeah, Darren loves chili and ice cream. All right, here we go. So I put the Batmobile out there. I put the bat signal out there. I said, any questions for John DiResta? I've only read one of the questions, and it made me laugh. So I'm going into this blindly, and I don't know if it's going to be PC. I don't know what's going to come at us, but let's find out. Here we go. He says, first question coming in. This is more of a setup to do a joke, but the guy wanted the first person said, did he watch the movie Groundhog Day?
It's funny that you mentioned that. I never saw Groundhog Day. I live it. I'm married 32 years with 3 kids, and I'm in a wood shop every day. And I do the Darren Carter podcast every 24 hours.
That was the next question. Does appearing on Darren's podcast week after week remind you of that movie?
Oh, there you go. No, it's funny. I never saw that movie. I do like Bill Murray a lot. Watch this. I did a gig in Santa Maria. It's like a good 2-hour drive, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And everybody was Mexican, killed it. One old white guy looked like Santa Claus, laughing, doing this, laughing and everything and knocking on the table. And after the show, I said, hey, do you want to buy a CD? He said, I sure do. I want to play it for my brother. I go, who's your brother? He goes, Bill Murray. It was Bill Murray's brother, and he loved me.
Oh, that's funny, man.
And I gave him the CD for free. And keep your fingers crossed. I'm still waiting for the call. It was in 2012.
You never know. You never know. That's cool.
But I never did see Groundhog Day.
I played Santa Maria, and I remember that show was sponsored by a bail bonds company. Like the banner behind the stage.
The 805 Event Center.
Yep.
I don't know if that was the same gig.
It was a gig that
Randy Lubis?
No, mine was a nightclub. It was put on by some promoters who went on to work with Live Nation, so they were kind of like on their way up. And it was sponsored by a bail bonds company. And I remember this one looked like a gang member, ex-gang member, had a shaved head. It's funny you said 805. He had a tattoo on his head that said 805. 805. And this must have been about 20 years ago, because I took my wife with me, and I used to take her a lot on the early gigs. And she looked at him and she goes, "Why does that guy have a tattoo on his head that says SOS?" I was like, "No, that's 805. It's like he's not asking for help. It's okay. It's
yeah.
It's an area code on his head." But yeah. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm just going to read this blindly. This might not even make sense. Let's reminisce about the golden age of quarantine back in early March. Does he miss those days of unknown when we thought we were all going to die and now we know it's a Chinese hoax? You could pass on these too.
No, I mean, I don't know if it's a hoax, but didn't something come out today that 90 some big number of people that actually passed away had pre-existing, and
oh yeah, like
might not been as bad as they say.
Thank God. I mean, thank God that yeah.
I don't want to catch it.
Yeah, me either. What was the most nervous you were during the pandemic, or did you ever get?
It's a good question. When everything closed down, when they closed down a couple of sporting events, I was like, oh, that should never happen. Then sporting events. Then like a week later was basically, hey, everybody get ready. Everything's going to close. And I instantly thought, no, I hustle for my money. I don't have a job. So I instantly thought, no woodworking, no stand-up, no acting. My initial thought very quickly went to my mind was I may have to move back to where I came from. Like have no income and may have to move back in with my mom, with my wife and kids.
Dude, I remember I called you at one point, and you're funny because sometimes you'll just lay it flat out, and then you'll give comfort. You don't start with comfort. I go, hey, what do you think? And you're like, dude, they're putting cots up at Central Park. This could be bad. And I was like, dude, don't talk like that. And you're like, no. And then you kind of calm me down. But at first I was like, what? Like, I didn't know what to expect. It was the
whole thing's been very strange.
Yeah, I was like, don't call John DiResta right now. But I remember you and I early on, like, we ended up doing like a guy's podcast, Deaths for Brian Redband and Brian Holtzman over on in Bourbon.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was fun, but I got a little nervous that day because that was the first. I just came back from the road. It was early March. And if you recall this, there was 3 gun shops that we drove by, and everyone had a long.
Oh, every one of them was packed.
And I don't think I'd seen that before. And I was like, "This is what LA is like long lines for gun shops. Like, that was a little. The unknown is, of course, it's like that's probably the most nervous I would say during the thing during this lockdown. I would say probably that. I guess maybe like that first couple of weeks. Hey, I didn't tell you this. I did a gig, or maybe I did tell you this. We haven't talked about it on the podcast. I did a gig, man. This guy paid me. I did a corporate show out in Colorado, 10 miles from Kansas. It was the first time flying during the pandemic. It was nice. You just got to keep the mask on the airplane, and there's nobody sitting in the middle seat, so that was good.
Nice. And like the old days.
Like the old days, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't the traveling part wasn't that bad. When I got there, like you could see the mindset. LA, there's more people, or it's different mindset here. So everybody over there, especially when you got to the rural area, like people weren't as, they're a lot friendlier as far as like here you may walk down the street, people are like, cross the street, ooh. Over there, they're just like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And some people give you the elbow, some people give you the fist, but a lot of people went in for the actual handshake. And I got to tell you, like the first time it happened, I was like, in my mind, I had to make a decision. Like I said, you know what, let me just shake the guy. So I shook everyone's hand, and did not touch my face. And then I washed my hands. But it was
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
good with the handshake.
Yeah, I didn't want it. I'm not the first one to initiate handshakes, but I was, they were like, "Hey, thanks for so much for coming out here. We really appreciate you." And I shook like 3 hands. The rest were I did that thing where you just kind of go, "Hey, all right, thank you." Man, that means a lot. And a
Yeah.
lot of elbow stuff and pat
The
on the shoulders.
the elbow bump started with the homeless people.
Oh, did it?
Of
They didn't.
course.
They didn't
They
want
don't want to touch each other. They're scurvs. They're raunchy.
I remember one. Okay, here we go. Let me go with some more questions. What's the weirdest thing you ever ate?
It's funny. Someone asked me that, or it came up today, or it came up like 2 days ago. I mean, I've been around the world, but the easiest thing to remember is I ate Rudolph the Red-Nosed reindeer sausage.
Oh wow!
Reindeer sausage, and I know there should be 1 or 2 other gross things, but I can't think of it.
Was that in Alaska?
That was in Alaska. I did 3 gigs in Alaska. I went there 3 times.
I remember I went to a breakfast diner. My father-in-law ordered that. I didn't, but he did, and I was like, okay, like, yeah. How did it taste? Do you remember?
Tastes like chicken.
Dude, it's so funny. I actually had Rocky Mountain oysters out there, and
I saw that video. How was that?
yeah, I put it on my YouTube channel. You guys check it out. It's the Rocky Mountain oyster one. It did taste like chicken, but you know what though? I'd rather just eat chicken because it kind of.
Yeah, there you go.
If you think about it
That's
too
a
much,
good
it kind of.
joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, you ate the balls of a bull.
Yeah, I was like, I finished.
No, I mean, I'm sure, think about it. It's sausage.
Yeah, exactly.
So it probably tastes like sausage. It probably, it didn't taste like the,
Right.
the asshole of the reindeer.
Yeah, it didn't taste like anything weird. I was like, I thought, I've eaten hot dogs before, sausage. I'm sure of, yeah. So that would be like the weirdest, because I'm not into like Fear Factor where they're like, try this bug. I'm like, nah.
No. I can't watch any of that stuff.
Did you ever
I can't even watch this. That I've stopped on Dr. Pimple Popper twice, and I've regretted it for the life of me.
I don't ever want to see that. You know what I noticed the other night? So I hardly ever watch. Well, we've been doing stand up usually at night, but now that we're not doing stand up, every now and then I'll channel surf on just basic cable television, and I'm like, there's nothing on TV for what I want to watch. Nothing's on TV, but I realize there's always something on the internet. So I'll just turn the TV off and go over, and there's always something on like YouTube or something that I'm interested, as opposed to like Dr. Pimple Popper and all those like infomercials and gross. Yeah, Next
penis
question.
pills.
Yeah, penis pill stuff, better sex life stuff, how to lose weight stuff. It's like, and the things that I would like to watch, my wife doesn't like. Like I like watching old like Twilight Zones, but even the music makes her nervous.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Next question. Did you ever change a diaper?
I had 3 kids. It's disgusting. It would be my number 1 reason to not have a kid.
Has he ever fished with his hands?
Fished with my hands?
Has he ever fished with his hands?
I used to go fishing a lot as a kid. I don't think I fished outright.
This is a bad joke. I think it's a bad joke because then the next question says, "Did she mind?" That's stupid.
Yoink!
These are dumb. How many times has he grabbed his own crotch? That's stupid. Oh, here's a good one. See, that's why these questions go from silly to like, I'd love to know what he thinks about Kenosha, Wisconsin. I mean, that's kind of a heavy duty one, but.
Well, my favorite club on earth was in Milwaukee, right? I've been a comedian 30 years.
Comedy
My
Cafe.
absolute 100% was the Comedy Cafe on East Brady Street in Milwaukee. Did you ever go there?
I did. Absolutely. With JD. Yep.
Yeah. I loved it. So Kenosha would get whatever, this town, that town, Sheboygan, Kenosha. So, I mean, I was near it. It came up in, as a funny name. But when I look back on the video of actually what happened, allegedly, this poor misunderstood youth had a knife in his hand. So that's one version, that there's a close-up video of a photo of he has this knife that's like a hook with a razor blade, which is super dangerous. And supposedly not only was he told to drop it a few times, there's a photo of him when he comes around the front of the car with it. But then they say he reached down in the front seat for a knife. So which is it? If you already got a knife, why you got to open the door and get another knife?
Yeah.
And then 7 shots to the back.
Yeah.
Is a lot. I'm not second guessing it. I wasn't there. But
yeah,
what my answer is, it's super unfortunate. It's never going to end. There's going to be another case 2 weeks from now that's questionable, and another case 4 weeks from now, because police work is a dirty thing.
And am I right about this? That they didn't have they don't have the body cams?
They didn't have the body cams there.
Which is, I mean, if they had the cams.
They just didn't have them. Not everyone has them. I never wore one. I wouldn't have worn one. If they had them when I was a cop, every single cop would leave roll call and break its lens with a hammer. That's that's the mentality.
Yeah.
But they did not have them.
Although I will say sometimes it does protect you, right? Like you could be like, no, it's all on camera.
Of course. Guess what happened? Right after a couple of police departments were forced to have them.
Yeah. Things
were like, the guy did have a knife. It's unfair. Yeah. You're videotaping us illegally without us asking.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that?
No.
Certain segments of society started to say, we don't want.
Oh. That's weird.
Because it's an invasion of our privacy. You're videotaping without our permission, which really means we're catching people doing crimes now.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate situation because people now have zero respect for the law. So to what's the word when you try and get away? When you resist arrest, no one sees that as a crime. So that while you're resisting arrest, your odds of getting injured kind of go up.
Yeah.
But nobody sees that. Nobody admits it.
Hey, have you ever been stopped by the cops since you retired or not retired? Or did you, or since you're no longer
I told someone today, the first time I got stopped, I was 12 years old with Sam Vidaro. He had bad license plates. We went to get black spray paint at TSS. That's like, Target.
Yeah.
There was 2 stores in Long Island, TSS and 2 Guys. And the oldest joke in Long Island is, I heard your parents opened up a department store. It's called 2 Guys. You get it? That your parents were both men?
Yeah, and nowadays they'd be like, what's the funny part?
The funny part is 2 Guys. I'm allowed to be funny.
No, but nowadays...
What's his name said about politically correctness?
Who?
Ricky Gervais said, you could tell any joke you want as long as you got the balls to stand there with your feet planted and let it land.
That's right.
And not apologize for it.
Yeah.
I got pulled over when I was 12 years old and frisked in Long Island, and I started to cry. Since then, I've been pulled over a good dozen, maybe 15 times in the last 22 years without a police ID, without an ID card or a shield or anything, because I quit. I had to hand it in. I handed everything in and left. And a good percentage of either Highway Patrol or LAPD will say to me, well, if you're going to claim you're an ex-New York City cop, can you prove it? And I go to your computer in your car and put my name in. And they go, no, we need more than that. So it's a tricky situation. One guy wanted to arrest me for imitating a police officer. When I said, listen to my quote, I am not imitating a police officer. I'm telling you, from the year 1986 to the year 1997, I was a member of the Transit Police Department for 9 years and the NYPD for 3. I was a member of 2 different police departments. And then they go, do you got any ID? I said, I just told you I don't have anything.
Dude, that's why you're just supposed to run, dude. Don't you know? Don't you watch the news? You gotta start. You gotta. All right, here we go. We're gonna change topics. Here it says, "What is his favorite wood to work with?" Do you have a favorite wood to work with?
That's a good question. We like to use pine. Every reclaimed lumberyard guy or, a rustic table maker likes pine because it looks good. It's inexpensive. It's real easy to work with. And once you get used to it, you kind of work wonders with it, like, the
Yeah.
material itself. But one notch above that is poplar. And I did a quick video on Instagram and I was using poplar. And I said, it's funny because I said to my audience, that's what your mom was in high school. Poplar. I do like poplar, but pine. Ponderosa pine, butter pine.
Has he ever done iron work?
It's funny you ask. I can't stand welding. I can't stand it. I hate it with every bone in my body because it's hot. It injures your eyes. It injures your body. If it drips, it injures your feet. It's very unforgiving. If you're a woodworker and you make a mistake, I know how to cover that mistake. If you work with metal and you make a mistake, you've made a mistake and you might have to start over. I don't like anything at all about it. When I get a customer that goes, I want an iron bottom, I'm like, basically I can just fluff them off. I can get it done, and my son knows how to weld, but it's time consuming. And like I said, you could burn a workshop down with it.
Yeah. My grandfather was a welder, and I remember like sometimes the t-shirts would have little holes in it from all the sparks,
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
Sparks would.
My grandfather, it's funny, your grandfather was a welder. My grandfather worked on a fishing boat for years. He started off as a junior baiter, and he worked his way up to a master baiter.
Must run in the family.
But zoink.
Zoinks. Yeah.
No, I was on the debate team in high school. I started as a junior debater, and I worked my way up to a master debater. And then watch this, when I got a little bit older, between stand-up gigs, I worked at a car salesman. Keys on Van Nuys? I worked in the rebate section. I started off as a junior rebater, and I worked my way up to a master rebater.
All right, I'm gonna be a master editor and edit those jokes out. Hey-o. Do you have you done any comedy? Have you done stand-up? Or when's your last stand-up show? The last time you did
last stand-up was right before COVID. It was at a bagel shop in Sherman Oaks.
Damn.
And but I've done some Zoom comedy. Zoom, where you sit down, you're in a little cube, and I did one the other night, and don't ask me why, they mute everybody else. So can you imagine you spend the time to sit through everyone else's sour ass set, and it's semi-amateur hour in some cases, and it turns into people talking about how they lost their dog as a kid, and there's no comedy in it, and they start to cry, and they don't know there's a light.
Yeah.
And you sit there to support the room. You're invested in this thing for an hour and a half. And when it's your turn, they mute all the people. So you can't even hear the 8 or 10 people that are laughing. You just see them going. I mean, I don't get why they would mute it. I'm not crazy. Every single time I do a Zoom comedy, I write my notes right here. Never again in big letters. Like the Holocaust, never again.
Never again.
And as soon as I get done with my set, I go, you know what? That was funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta
challenge yourself. Like I like that show that I did. It was for these wealthy ranchers and lawyers out there near Kansas, and it was it went over well. It went great. It was one of those gigs I thought, 15 years ago I probably would have had a harder time, but maybe now I've just the experience and the material, a lot more about family and more relatable. I even wrote a joke about, how to tell time because I've been staying up at the farm up near Fresno, and this went over really well. I said I go, you guys know how I tell time out in the country is it goes like this. It goes morning, not as hot, really hot, really hot, really hot, not as hot, bugs, mosquito bites, dark, something
Oh,
like that. And they liked it because they could all relate. Once you get outside the city, that's how it is. It goes from like comfortable to like hot. And then there's like this little window where it's actually comfortable again. And then all the bugs are all around. And then mosquito bites. And then it's just dark and crickets, you know?
I wrote a joke. Somebody asked me on a Zoom the other day, what's it like to be married 32 years with kids? I said, you ever see like in a hurricane, there's that one weatherman news guy, the new guy that has to stand on the beach in Florida, who has no mask and his shield is blown off and there's 150-mile-an-hour winds,
Yeah.
doing everything he can to stand up. I said, imagine being that guy for 24 hours a day for 32 years without a break. But instead of rain, it's wet, hot diarrhea splashing in your face and up your nose and in your eyes.
Oh, and that's where everybody muted. They're like, ugh.
Hot diarrhea.
Hot diarrhea. Is your wife, is she there now? Does she hear these
You're
jokes?
not in this room.
She doesn't care, right? These jokes. Yeah, I've been married 23 years. 23 years. We just celebrated our 23rd anniversary. I did a little
Warm
YouTube video
diarrhea. You get warm diarrhea.
I did a little YouTube video. My son wrote us. He made a really nice card. But I mean, listen, you know what? I've talked to some of my friends that are single, and I've talked to friends that are married. I think going through this lockdown, like single, it's got to be tough, man, because it gets lonely, and then also there's the other side where it gets, you know, you're like, or like guys that want to like hook up with girls. How are you gonna date during a pandemic? It's like, it's ridiculous, you know.
Well, I know you'd like me to keep the glass half full, but that's where it's at.
Yeah.
I know 3 friends personally that can't wait to die. That's how much they like being with their wife and kids.
Oh,
They
by the
talk
way,
about
yeah.
they talk about how fun it's going to be on the other side.
Oh my gosh. By the way, I want to do a quick shout out. This is a good shout out. I want to do a shout out to Gateway Mortgage. If anybody here is fleeing California or New York or wherever, going to move to Texas, especially the San Antonio area, reach out to Tracy Mock, the mortgage mama at Gateway Loan. Okay. So gatewayloan.com, and I'll give out her cell. They said I could give out her cell. So it's 210-480-3522. Gateway Mortgage. There we go. Cool. That was cool. John, any words of wisdom before we go? Anything?
No, I appreciate you as a good friend, and as much as I make fun of these podcasts and these little, it is a way to get our little comedic bent off. We do have to practice being funny, and I appreciate you having me on. And there's no one else I'd rather go through quarantine with you.
That was cool, man.
And watch this.
Yeah.
Would I order the next UFC and not switch my TV on purpose?
Yeah, you probably would. You probably would.
You're going to want to come over and schnorr the free UFC up. $75.
I know. You're right. Why am I complaining? Because the other way that I can watch free UFC is on my phone using, one of those things. But
watch this.
Yeah.
When you watch it on your phone, you're watching a guy in another country hold his phone on his large screen TV.
Yeah.
And while you're trying to listen to Joe Rogan or any of these guys, you hear or you hear somebody yelling in their native language at the baby who dropped his nookie in the cat litter.
Oh, maybe that's what you could do. You could order it and then just film it and then broadcast it and make some more money. You could be like, the whole time you could be like, woodworking, DiResta, West.
I do have a question for you. Do you know that the other night at the Republican National Convention that what's his name spoke? The guy from UFC.
Herschel Walker, Dana White.
Dana White spoke, right?
Yeah.
Now, wasn't he like sold? Wasn't UFC sold to a majority of Hollywood elite producers and management?
I don't know.
It was.
The business side of UFC? I don't know. It is?
Oh, wow. UFC sold about 2 years ago for $4 billion, and the majority owners are all in Hollywood on Wilshire Boulevard.
Wow.
So I'm surprised they let him go out and speak for Donald Trump.
Interesting.
You didn't know that?
No, I did know that it was sold or something, but I didn't know the details. Wow.
It was sold to like one or two of the biggest agencies.
Oh, like ICM or something like that.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, a couple of them.
Wow.
Where have you been?
Nowhere. Nowhere.
Swinging a tire?
You don't miss a trick.
You're busy swinging a tire.
I know, dude. I know. I got to be honest. I haven't, man. I got to get back into it because I have not. I took a week off. Here's why I took a week off from exercise. What he's talking about, guys, is when I'm not in LA, I'm up at the farm and I'm hitting tires and I'm punching tires and stuff. But the wildfire smoke was so bad. Like it was unhealthy. Like it literally, they have like green, yellow, orange, dark red, like. And it was deemed unhealthy to be outside. Like, in fact, my voice is a little raspy now. The last few days, it's down to yellow where it says moderate. But man, that air was bad out there.
Dude, one last thing. I don't know if you know, when I became a cop, I was 21 years old, and I had to go get the physical.
Yeah.
And they needed a stool sample, a urine sample, and a semen sample. So I gave them my underwear.
John, you're better than this.
Hack lives matter.
Hack lives matter. That's funny.
Dude, hack lives matter. Why doesn't my life matter?
I know exactly.
All I want to do is make people laugh. Why do you ever have to judge me?
I know. Oh, John, you're the best, man. Thanks for making us laugh.
Okay, you got it, bro.
Yeah,
I'm going to go catch Hannity. I'm going to catch Hannity. Can I say that?
Kennedy?
Hannity.
Kennedy? I don't know. You can catch whoever you want. Hey, I'm going to give a shout out to Yellow Mug Inc., one of your biggest fans. Every time you do the show, Yellow Mug Inc. listens.
What do they make? Tell them to send me free stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yellow Mug Inc. out of Chicago. Send DiResta
What do they make?
Stuff. I don't know. I saw him on Instagram. He made like a little plastic thing for the mask so it doesn't bend your ears. Like it hooks into the mask. He found some like file and he prints them 10 at a time, and anybody that wants the file, he'll give you the file for free just to help people out. I don't know. Look up Yellow Mug Inc. on I believe Instagram.
You got it. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. See you next time.
We're done with this interview.
Thank you again for watching this video. Slap like, give it a nice thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hopefully I can get this kitchen remodeled and take care of that weirdo back there in the window.
Listen to the Pocket Party.